Welcome to the Daniel Stee Podcast. Today I'm going to give you some ways you can think better to solve problems more easily and effectively. I'm going to do this by breaking down how some of history's brightest and most innovative thinkers thought, what their mindset and their process were for solving problems and coming up with new ideas on how to make life better for us. Let's start with Leonardo da Vinci. Here's how he solved problems. 1, he was curiosity-driven. He questioned everything and he observed nature closely to find patterns. This actually is kind of similar to how Einstein and Tesla, especially with the wireless stuff and energy thought. Question everything, observe what's happening in nature. Number 2 for Da Vinci was an interdisciplinary approach, meaning he didn't just do engineering and science and draw. He also, of course, painted the Mona Lisa. He combined art, science, and engineering, believing that he could transfer knowledge from one area to another. Moreover, when he took a break from one problem to do something else, work on something else, it'd be like being in the shower when suddenly you get an inspiration, a flash of an idea. So he would take a break, go do something else, and then go back to his engineering or painting. Number 3 for Da Vinci is experimentation and iteration, which is a kind of a theme for the Tesla. So Da Vinci would design countless inventions, many of which were ahead of his time, and then he'd redefine them, his ideas, trial and error as time went along. This is actually how AI works. AI isn't intelligent. It's just a super fast computer that runs iterations over and over and over until it comes up with a satisfactory response, an optimal one based on what you asked it for. And this is where using AI can be helpful as a complement to the work you're doing, but not a substitute for being human, because you need to put into AI the variables to consider, the outcome you want to serve your purpose. It's like driving a car. If you know exactly where you're going and there's a roadmap and you're just going to the store, let AI take over. But if a road hasn't been built yet to where you want to go, or no one even knows what a road is, but they built a car, then you're going to have to give it some more input and guidance on what you want to do with your car. And that's where the real human creative process comes in. It's something AI can't tell you because it hasn't been done before. So how would Da Vinci solve today's problems? 1, he'd study nature, nature's efficiency, its designs. It's like if you're building an airplane or a helicopter, how does a bird fly? And then apply them to maybe work on sustainability technology, or robot designers do this. They study the human body, nature. It's not coincidence that robots are modeled, the good ones, after the human body and not something else. Robot engineers will tell you the human body is perhaps the most perfect biological organism on Earth. How would Da Vinci solve today's problems with AI and automation? He'd find ways to humanize technology, integrating it with his creativity and his ethics. I think he would encourage programs like ChatGPT and other AI to keep track of where it gets its information, something that's currently not done during the iterations that AI performs before giving the user an answer to their question. So that way it can give credit and maybe even monetary support to the creators of the content it used to provide its answer and its outputs. In terms of space exploration, he'd probably sketch out some futuristic spacecraft. They might be inspired by birds. They might be inspired by a UFO he saw. Which, perhaps the UFOs, the aliens flying the UFOs, whether you believe it or not, just go there with me, they might see Da Vinci's ideas and adapt them to improve their own design. It doesn't matter even if Da Vinci understands how birds fly or UFOs, how they work or not. Sometimes the less you know, the better. Next up is Nikola Tesla, the visionary. How he solved problems is through thought experiments. He built and tested things entirely in his mind before physically constructing them. His brain was literally a computer running over iterations of what ifs, how could I do this better, over and over and over, seeing his ideas as visions before he built them. And he was an innovative thinker in that he simply challenged anything mainstream, any normal scientific belief. His mentality was, that's been done. I don't want to do that. I want to do something completely different. And he wasn't afraid to push the boundaries. He didn't care what people thought. He did his own thing. Number 3 for Tesla was persistence and obsession. He relentlessly worked tirelessly on his inventions. We think he's brilliant, and he is. We tend to think that our heroes who are really smart, like Einstein and Vinci and Tesla, were just so good and gifted. Boom, it all comes out. Honestly, I think that would be boring to them. What would they do then? What purpose would life serve them if they simply had all the answers right away without having to do some of the fun behind it? How would Tesla solve problems today? Well, take the energy crisis. He'd likely, for starters, advocate for a completely new energy source, meaning not clearly, of course, not a fossil fuel, not oil and gas, but also not solar, not nuclear, something totally new and different. The words innovation. If you're just to improve on existing technology, to me that's not really so innovative. It's more problem solving. How can we make something better maybe? Try to come up with something completely different. Likely it'd be free energy. One of the things he was working on, some say, is free energy, meaning you're harnessing natural forces. Again, all these smart people are looking at, all these innovative people are looking at what's in nature already. He'd probably see energy as something to be tapped in from nature, developing ideas like wireless electricity. But I think even bigger than that. He's said to have tapped into free energy, meaning the same energy, electromagnetic field that's naturally present. You can see it on a compass, an old school compass. The compass moves. It's not magic. That's a force. That's a force. When they talk about free energy, that's tapping into that force. How would Tesla solve transportation, which seems to be a big thing that smart cities are pushing? Oh, we'll have better transportation. He'd probably develop a frictionless propulsion system. Again, back to the electromagnetic fields, which there's some trains in other countries that run on, almost like anti-gravity. He might even take it a step further and try to find something anti-gravity, which are what UFOs are suspected to have, an envelope that contains them. So you're basically immune to gravity. Again, while this all sounds crazy, trust me, if you've ever seen the formulas from Tesla on radio, and if you ever see how television works and the wireless, your cell phone bouncing from tower to tower and how it works, the math and the science is mind-blowingly complex. And if you didn't have that kind of talent, it's not even talent, if you hadn't put in the work to learn how to do math and really break this stuff down and go, oh, you know what? There's the math. Now let me build it and try it. It would never happen. And everyone would still say it's impossible. How can you, even with the telephone, how can you be on one end of the telephone and talk on the other? This is back when there were wires. So Tesla, again, information, the internet. When I asked ChatGPT, AI suggested that Tesla would push for decentralized wireless communication without the traditional infrastructure. That is clearly, and this is AI, not the simplest way to tell me what I asked for. That's because ChatGPT only knows what's already being talked about on the internet. I suspect Tesla would invent an alternative way of communication, one that has nothing to do with traditional internet or infrastructure. For example, when I once had lunch with the scientist who the telecommunication companies hired back in, I think, the 90s, hired him to prove cell phones were not harmful, because he proved breast cancer wasn't harmful and fluoride toothpaste wasn't. They thought he was his man. They thought he was their man. And, lunch asked him what's really happening, are they harmless or not. Basically, they're not, quote, safe. Safe's a relative term. I won't dive into that right now. What I was really asking him is, how safe are they? What does safe mean? And we're concerned. Oh, we just want to know. Are they safe? How safe? Nothing's harmless. And he had a good point when he said, Daniel, the solution, if we're worried about this, is something to come, because we all think we can't do without our phones. But trust me, if a better way of communicating came along that was as convenient and maybe even cheaper and easier, we didn't have to buy a phone, we didn't have to carry a phone, people would do it. What is that? That's true innovation. What is that alternative way of communicating instead of just, I'll make the internet faster with 5G and faster? Some point, got to totally go off the rails. Next up is, and last, this is the third and last, is Albert Einstein. He's thought of as the thought experimenter. Einstein solved problems by questioning everything. He didn't take things at face value. See, there's a theme going on here. He always dug deeper into why and how. Tell me more. Make things as simple as possible, but no simpler. And he visualized, what if I wrote a beam of light? That's how he comes up with physics and relativity stuff. He doesn't sit down and do the equations. He visualized, what if I was the beam of light? So how would he solve problems today? Artificial intelligence, he'd frame it in terms of questioning when we say artificial intelligence, what intelligence is. AI is a marketing term. The thermostat on your wall for your heat or your air conditioner, it has settings, controls. It knows when to go on and off and for how long. Is that intelligence? It's a machine. It's not intelligent. We've programmed it. It's a machine. We lost sight of the meaning. AI is not intelligent. It's a machine. It takes human input for a question, scans what humans have already put out there on the platforms, and gives you an answer based on looking at what's been written in history books, textbooks, and the internet. It cannot create a completely new thought, only a composite. Social issues, Einstein probably applied logic to bring people together through a shared understanding. This is what I think. AI, robots, technology is yet to show in terms of its true promise. What if AI gave you an output that helped you communicate better how you're feeling, what your needs are, why you're angry, why you need to be loved more, why you love somebody but they don't love you, and how to deal with that more effectively instead of just using AI to proofread your resume and optimize it for keywords and tags so you can get a job? Einstein could do this because he wouldn't look like he's anti-technology. People would respect him for calling out what AI really isn't and what it is. In regard to proving stuff mathematically, unlike Da Vinci and Tesla, Einstein relied more on his peers and colleagues for the equations. He did the logical deduction. He would ask his colleagues and peers for help with coming up with the math and the equations. And then they would go, well, great idea, but it doesn't work. And you're like, well, just change the math. Make it work. So to close, imagine a problem-solving scenario in the modern world where Da Vinci would contribute creative designs by applying his knowledge and experience from all the different things he did, the art and the science and engineering, and you combine different ideas to create interesting new composite ones. That was his thing. Tesla brings technology disruption by challenging mainstream scientific beliefs and seeing his inventions in his mind before he builds them, and working relentlessly to bring them to life. And Einstein, similarly, he brings insights by visualizing possible solutions, by asking what if, what would it be like, and imagining himself as the beam of light, as the spaceship, as the wire, as the electromagnetic field, and then asking others for help to put his ideas to mathematical proof. And that's the kind of thinking that can lead to revolutionary breakthroughs. Here's how you can apply them in your life. You can do this by, number one, do the things you want to do, and do more than one thing if there's more than one thing you want to do. I'm a rocket scientist. I've climbed mountains that I haven't been climbed before. I still climb mountains. I'm a guitar player and a singer and a songwriter, and I still go to Nashville. I still release music. Da Vinci drew, he made art, and he was an engineer. So find time each day to play an instrument, to draw, to do something creative. The key word is creative, and that you love to do, and that is not related to what you do for your day job or what you think you need to do to make money. Something you love to do. Number two, question everything. Challenge mainstream beliefs in what you read in the newspaper and what you read on the internet. Ask why, ask how, and try to find solutions to problems that are as simple as possible, but no simpler. Break it down. Number three, visualize. Can you see it? Can you hear it? Can you pretend you're it, like Einstein pretending he was light, bending in space? Can you pretend you are that? And what does your new invention and way of being and doing look like? How does it feel? And finally, don't be afraid to ask for help making your dream real, making your invention real. Be relentless. Do what you love to do. Thanks for listening. Till next time, I'm Daniel Stee. What'd you think of today's topic? I'd love to hear your thoughts and questions. Put them in the comments. If it inspired you, be sure to like it and share it with someone you know who might benefit. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, take care and keep moving forward.